All right. Okay, we're here with the great Robin Henkel, which he just told me. What does Henkel mean?
Handle.
Handle.
When I was playing the U.S. Grant back in the 80s, German lady walks up and says, "Your name's Henkel, right?" I go, "Well, yeah." And she goes, "Do you know what that means in German?" "No." She says, "It means handle." And there's even a song in German that says there's a little bit of tea left in the teapot, and if you want to get it, you're going to have to pick it up by the handle. And I remember that. Why do you remember a story from like 30 years ago?
I mean, that makes sense. Honestly, that's not that crazy.
And it made me wonder if it's that song, "I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout."
Yeah, I got you.
And I wonder if that's just that same song sung in German.
Okay, we have an SD legend here. It's my pleasure to welcome Robin Henkel. It's his birthday today, guys. Happy birthday, Robin.
Old, and it's all, if I look younger than that, it's because of clean living, no cussing, no, you can, use your imagination, but not too much.
Well, thanks for being here, man. We were talking about, I've been trying to do more of these interviews. And it's kind of like my little journal for the SD crew. And especially like we were saying, it's like there's so much cool musicians here. There's like all these different scenes. And it's like, yeah, we're not LA or New York, but that's kind of what's cool about it. It's got this charm to it. And you're one of the OGs. So you're just saying, so you're saying you're playing the Grant in the 80s.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Like 85, 86.
So are you from San Diego?
I wasn't born here, but I've lived here for a long time. All my life.
Okay.
My parents moved here in 1957 from Seattle.
From Seattle.
But my dad he wasn't in the military at the time, but when I was born, he was in the military, in the aftermath of World War II. Uh-huh. He was stationed in Pensacola, Florida. And I don't have cultural roots there. It's just, that's where I was born.
I see.
But it's just that's where he was when I was born.
Okay, I get you. So you guys ended up here, and what was it? What was SD like back then? What was the music scene like? I don't know. I want to know.
The music scene, I don't know. In fact, I was just talking to, I'll call him an old timer.
Okay.
In other words, there are a few people that are older than me. And who was it now that I think of it? It was Jack Pinney.
Okay.
He was the drummer for Glory.
Okay.
And Glory was a band that played Neutral Ground on 47th and University. It was, I don't know if you'd call it a biker club, but the bouncers were a motorcycle club.
Okay, cool.
So it gave that whole vibe. It's like, sometimes that was intimidating. In the band, I always felt like, I'm all protected. And I'm in my 20s. What ego was going on at the time. But I always felt cool there, even though I would have probably never walked in there as a civilian.
I see.
But
since you were in the band, you could
in the band, yeah, that works in a lot of places, Definitely. But Jack was reflecting on some of it. Iron Butterfly, you remember the became somewhat big, I think, and some of the guys here were in that band when it was still a local El Cajon band.
Ah, okay.
And so we were reminiscing about that, and in doing so, he was mentioning the names of clubs that I had heard of, but I never played at, like. A lot of the older guys were going to bring up a place called Funky Quarters.
Okay.
And, of course, Neutral Grounds, Leadbetters, and Cinnamon Cinder.
Okay.
Bands like Gary Puckett and the Union Gap probably played there back in the day. And, so that's not really part of my history, but that's what's going back even before I was, like at that time I was probably in high school and not going to clubs.
So you know what trips me out is that like, because I'm a total jazz head, so it's like when I hear, like when I first found out that ElectricLouieLand used to live in San Diego, I was like, whoa. Or like Daniel Jackson was here for years. All these guys where you kind of, it's not that you take it for granted, or like Charles McPherson lives here, or like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, so it's cool to kind of see the history of the SD music world, you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, obviously you're a part of it, but it's just like, I don't know, it's cool. I want to like try and document it. I feel like you don't really know unless you talk to someone. Hey, but so it's cool to see, and but I mean, so what was it like back then? Like growing up or like playing gigs? I'm curious. Like what was
the first gigs that I did that were actually a gig? It was what I call a little kids band. I was 17 years old and I was the oldest one in the band.
Okay.
I was also the oldest one that did not know how to read music.
Okay.
And the reason I mention that is that we were a chaperone band. In other words, when we practiced in the garage, it's because all of the parents brought the kids to this one garage in Kearney Mesa, Serra Mesa, and we all sat down and we played through our songs. And like once a month, once every 2 months or so, there was a for real arranger, or at least a guy that knew how to arrange. I don't know what he did outside of our band, but he would write arrangements, with a trumpet and I believe an alto sax, 2 guitars, which seemed like, why would you have 2 guitars, and then drums and bass. Mm-hmm. Well, he would write a 3-part harmony for more or Girl Talk, or Philly Dog, or Soul Finger, and all of those cool old songs. And he would write a 3-part arrangement and put the guitar in between the 2 horns. So when you heard it, it sounded like a 3-piece section. Right. You didn't realize that there was a guitar hiding in between the other horns. Right. So it sounded like it was a horn.
It sounded like a horn part. Yeah.
That influenced me many years later, because I realized actually way back then, people look at arranging like, ooh, I get the cat's kind of already out of the bag. Anybody could do that, but they don't necessarily know which direction to go. And the first time I took that little guitar lick, kind of like Chicken Shack, and had it harmonized, just a 2-part, 2-note harmony. I played it on the guitar, wrote the notes down. I could, I'm not a sight reader, but I can still write the notes, right? Even and gave it to the horn players, and they played it, and I went,
"Oh, this is cool!
Whoa." This is not some forbidden, untouchable area.
Yeah.
There's a ton to learn. Right. But the thing is, you can do it on your guitar. You can do it on a piano. Right. You can do it.
Well, and on guitar, you're already used to playing multi-voices. So it's like you kind of have an innate ability to kind of hear that harmony or whatever. Right. And so this is what gave way to like you doing a lot of arranging. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
Yeah, and that's what, in fact, I was going through some of my old family heirlooms, just papers and stuff.
Wow.
Because we saved a lot of stuff.
That's cool.
And I found one of the charts. This arranger's name was Jim Spellman. And
why do I feel like I know that name?
I think there's somebody else named Jim Spellman, but I don't know if he's a musical arranger or not. Okay. I got a feeling this guy would have passed away. Okay. A long time ago, or I see. Quite a while ago. But I can't remember what the train of thought was.
You're just talking about arranging, Jim Spellman, just how you kind of got into. So that's kind of what gave way to you doing a lot of your arranging.
Right. It was in the actually, when I was still a rock and roll musician, because that's primarily
that's
what
how you started. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I started out on classic, American folk music. Okay. And then heard a little bit of blues. Had some of my earliest input there as a strong mentor was Josh White, which was a blues musician. Okay. And but then as a teenager, I'm starting to play Gloria and Rolling Stones and stuff like that.
Of course.
And it just I moved to Del Mar, and Mark Lessman became a good friend.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Mark Lessman was like 18 years old then.
Wow.
And he was taking lessons with Joe Murillo.
Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, player. I remember him.
And we would all go see Joe down at the Chuck Steakhouse in La Jolla. Okay. I think every Sunday he would play down there. Okay. And it might be Tom Azzarillo on bass. Okay. Could have been Joe Azzarillo on piano. Yeah.
Wow.
Some of the different guys, I can't remember the drummer's name, but somebody, the guy. Anyway, Mark would sit there with the real book, and I'd never seen the real book before. Right. But I'd heard those Antonio Carlos Jobim tunes because I grew up hearing all of that stuff when I was a little kid. Yeah. Because we had one of those records, and it played over and over again, and that's kind of one of the benefits, I think, of our musicianship later. Yeah. The stuff that we heard over and over and over, and we may not even been listening, but it imprinted.
It just gets in you.
Yeah. And so I was very fascinated by the idea of guys playing jazz. For one, I thought swing was like totally hip.
Really? Okay,
you
cool.
know,
So wait, walk me through this then. So you were into like folk. So how did you start music? Like, how did you get into?
the first thing I did was play a ukulele, 4-string plastic and ukulele. And back in the late 50s and 50s, ukulele was very popular in the mainstream of American culture.
Oh.
See, what happened is there was a World's Fair exhibition.
Of course.
Like in the late 20s, and there was a display of Hawaiian culture, dance, music. Oh. And somehow at that World's Fair, I don't remember which one it was,
it took hold.
Ukulele music and Hawaiian music became popular.
Oh.
And so people were playing, you know, maybe steel guitar.
Right.
Ukuleles, playing some of those. Oh, we're going to the hooky-lounge.
Cool.
Hooky.
Wow.
Ala ama ama come swimming to me. And but let's see. So I came home from school one day. I think I was in the 8 years old, which would have put me in the 3rd grade. And there was a plastic ukulele, a toy, but it was playable.
Right.
It says barely playable,
right.
a lot of those in-between toy instruments.
It's not
things.
like a real, like, solid ook in the sense that,
a lot of those were marketed, I think, as the Arthur Godfrey ukulele. And I can't tell you who Arthur Godfrey was, but he was a celebrity of some kind.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, probably in the 50s.
Okay.
And so anyway, so I played that music, and neither my dad or mom were musicians.
Okay.
But my dad could take, we got guitars in Tijuana.
Yeah.
Our guitar teacher said, you want to get a guitar for $10?
Yeah, go down there.
We're going to go down there and get one.
Yeah,
you know?
that's perfect, yeah.
And we got 2. We got one for me, it was like a little one, and we got one for my dad that was more of a regular, classical style.
Yeah, okay. So like nylon.
Spanish style, yeah.
Okay.
Guitars, not electric guitars. And my dad could like go donga 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 guitar.
Yeah.
Play the old train songs from the Depression.
Oh.
Because during a Depression, if you think about the age group of kids that were like 10, 12 years old, a steam locomotive, like all that power, it was like, God, the adrenaline of monster trucks, but bigger.
Yeah.
Huge, bigger.
And the smoke.
Noisy, and the smoke against the snow background. It's
As
like,
a kid,
you could see how people in that time period were fascinated by that. In addition to that, there was a depression, and there were a lot of people that were out of work.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the equivalent word for street person or homeless person would have been hobo.
Okay.
Back in those days.
I see, yeah.
And I just watched a documentary. People in the cities couldn't find a job, so they just said they'd moved to the country. People in the country couldn't find a job, so they moved to the city. So there are these people going back and forth, and they're hitching ride on trains. So that whole train culture of hitching rides, kind of like borderline outlaw, but just struggling for survival.
Yeah.
Got to remember there were so many terminologies that were like hobo slang that were in all of those songs.
Yeah.
That is like mulligan stew, I think, was what hobos made when there was like a camp of people, and whatever ingredients they had, maybe some meat and a head of cabbage, that would be the mulligan stew.
I get you.
Or just, I don't know, all these songs about trains and stuff.
Well, it's funny because, like, I mean, I'm a total Hendrix guy, and even he's saying, "Hear my train a coming." Like, I mean, he's obviously taking that from some of the old blues guys, but it's like it's in that repertoire of sorts, like that storyline, like you're saying. Interesting. Okay.
So anyway, that evolved to, Mark Lessman was the one that sat with the real book, and kind of held my hand while I was like changing at the wrong time, just getting my grip as far as counting the bars. Because I was just reading the chords on guitar or a bass.
So this is the first time Mark's the one who showed you the real book.
He's the one that showed me the real book.
And when was this, like, in your music career? Like,
well, there was the old band that I was in when I was a little kid, and that was like a white soul band.
Okay, cool.
We played the military clubs.
Sick.
The parents would take us to the Naval Hospital, to Miramar, which was a Navy station.
Yeah.
And I remember there, at the time, this is late 60s.
Okay.
At the time, their enlisted men's club was like down this long dirt road. I don't know what it is now. I don't go on base there, but there was down this long dirt road, and there was this place where we played. And I think the gigs were 4 hours.
Okay.
And I remember seeing, if you didn't have your own lights back then, those outdoor floodlights that get super hot.
Right.
They would arrange a few of those in front of the bandstand. And I remember looking up at the wall and seeing my shadow silhouetted against the wall, bigger than life in the blue light. And then the red light was going this way, so the shadows would cross. And they would share each other's colors a little bit. And I remember looking at that going, whoa. God, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm on stage,
Right. Right.
And
you had that feeling, like
so
playing.
we played the songs of that arranger, but I think what was more popular were dance songs, which meant the soul music of the time period.
Of course.
The Motown.
Nice,
like
classic.
That.
Yeah.
And so, it was not really that great a band, but it was a band.
Yeah.
And actually, one anecdote to that too. That's when the new wave of bands, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Big Brother and the Holding Company, all the San Francisco bands, the Haight-Ashbury, that fascinated. And the whole English thing with Led Zeppelin and all of that stuff was going on.
The English or the British
was a big
invasion.
influence.
Yeah.
These British guitar players that would take an American tune like by Howlin' Wolf and like crank up the volume and make their own version of it. And we're listening to it going, whoa, this is the new music. That music is black blues for
years,
a few decades, at least, half a century or so. So,
wow,
but it was here the whole time. But anyway, that's when people started to tune on. Young kids started to tune into it.
I see.
And I wanted to learn some Janis Joplin and some Jimi Hendrix,
of course.
And the parents would sit in the kitchen, smoking cigarettes and eating coffee cake and drinking coffee, while the kids would be out in the garage arranging. And there was this one very conservative dad.
Okay.
And he was smoking non-filter Pall Malls, I think, at the time, or Chesterfield, one of those. He would take a drag off his Pall Mall and say, "My boy ain't playing none of that psychedelic music."
Oh, wow.
Because that's what they call it.
Yeah, of course.
It was drug-influenced music,
Yeah.
And I still got my way. I was able to,
You still play it, yeah.
Campaign for that music. So we got to do a Janis Joplin song, and we did Fire by Jimi Hendrix.
Sick.
And that was a little out of that was pushing the edge. But
right.
What was funny is that I was the oldest one, and they must have liked me because I was just involved with the band.
Yeah.
And maybe I had, even though they could all read and I couldn't, I had a little bit of experience and a little bit of age. So I guess they trusted me.
Yeah, you were leading them, yeah.
So that was a good experience. I went from there to college. I decided I'm not going to do music anymore. I was becoming kind of involved in other things. And a lot of times when you make a decision, something happens that makes you go sideways. And what happened is in college, I met two guys that were good at playing Cream and Jimi Hendrix, and they wanted me to be in their band.
Okay.
And I was so marveled at how I thought they were great, much, much better than me.
And are they older than you?
No, they were the same age.
Okay, they're same age. Okay. So you're peers.
Yeah, we were peers. So they...
And this is in San Diego.
This is at what was called Cal Western.
Okay.
Which is now called Point Loma College of the Nazarene.
Oh, so it's right. Yeah.
Right on Point Loma.
I got you. Yeah. Of course.
That university sold their campus to
where it is now. I get you.
Nazarene College.
I got you. Okay.
And so it wasn't that when I went there, but that's where I met these guys.
Interesting. Okay.
And, in our proximity to Ocean Beach,
right.
we played lots of backyard kegger parties and lots of crazy stuff. And the police would come and tell us to turn down. And there were never really any serious problems.
So wait, what was OB like back then?
I don't know. Did
it have the same vibe as it kind of does now?
It was definitely the hippie neighborhood of San Diego. No question about it. It was designated. There were other pockets of San Diego where that counterculture, 60s counterculture existed. But Ocean Beach was a definite center of it.
Okay.
And when you drive down Newport or Sunset or Newport or whatever those, you can still see a lot of that same charm, even though a lot of it's been commercialized.
Yeah, it's been redone.
Turned into
I know what you
it's
mean.
just something more business-like.
Yeah.
You know?
It does have that vibe still, though.
You know? But
Yeah, for
no,
sure.
it definitely does. It's kind of like a beach community that has and there's a certain, like a lot of neighborhoods have a certain pride that this is who we are.
Right.
And that was there.
Okay.
You know?
Wow.
And maybe it still is
Okay.
today.
So
But-
so you start playing with these guys, and you started getting into what, like more rock and roll stuff?
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix, Cream. When we started playing commercially, I mean, playing gigs for
like
money.
working.
Yeah, working in clubs. We realized that just picking the songs that we wanted to play were not taking us down the road that we necessarily. So the guitar player, I thought was really, really good, and he had a great sleeky vibrato. You know, a lot of times you hear a cat with a vibrato, it's but Corky's vibrato was like reminded you of B.B. King or Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
They had that kind of whoa.
Nice.
It was when he was cranked up loud. It got inside you. You know.
Okay.
And he gave me this Rolling Stones songbook and said, "Let's learn 10 of these songs. Bikers will love it."
Okay.
And they did. He was right. We started playing those tunes at Neutral Ground, which was 47th and Uni, like one block west of the Tower.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
of course.
That
Okay.
was I think it's a laundry mat now.
Okay.
But that was one of the well-known clubs.
Yeah.
In fact, that was one of the only places to play rock. Well, I wouldn't say only, but that whole thing about whether you're in the union or not in the union.
Okay.
Neutral Ground, even though it was kind of a rough place, was a union house. So if you didn't belong to the union, you couldn't play there.
I see.
So we were playing at Ledbetter's, which was 54th and Elkhorn Boulevard, and that's that California casino now.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
That building was Ledbetter's, and that was just a beer bar.
Okay.
In fact, I would go to, like, at that time, you'd set up your gear and maybe play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, wow. So you'd have a stint.
Leave your gear there.
Oh, that's cool.
Or at least for Friday and Saturday. Every club was different.
I see.
A lot of times you'd get hired for that week.
I see.
You know, it would be 4 nights, something like that.
Okay.
So anyway, we played Saturday, and I'd show up at Sunday morning to pick up with the truck to pick up the gear because we didn't want it. So I come into Ledbetter's 10 o'clock in the morning. They're already people sitting at the guitar or sitting at the bar, having a beer, watching Tarzan on black and white TV, and eating peanuts, and sometimes throwing the shells on the floor.
On the floor, wow.
And you know, I came out of this college environment, which was more prissy.
Right.
Than the street.
More put together, just
more organized, and people are reading books and going to the library.
So where did you go to college?
That same place.
Oh,
Cassidy
at Point. Oh,
yeah. It was called.
And what did you
Cal
study?
Western
What did you study there?
Political science.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to go out and save the world, and I apologize for failing at that.
Interesting. Wow, I would have never guessed that. Okay, so what made you want to go and you didn't want to could you? I mean, was studying music even a thing back then?
No, not for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't
I
seem
played it.
Right. Yeah.
You're
already studying it.
I played it, and I was like, studying it didn't really happen until the real book. Or until at least I got into a band that was playing music where we had to practice. And it was lazy. I don't want to sit and play the ZZ Top song over and over and over again. But I needed to because I was singing, playing bass. I was pathetic on bass, It's like I'm trying to play and trying to sing at the same time.
Right.
And it took about 3 years of playing for it to get through my head that when you're singing a song, playing bass, you need to be going dunk, junk, 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 junk. Ride one note.
Right.
Don't even think about the bass part.
Right.
Just
put the
And then disco came along, which reinforced that. The 70s disco.
Okay.
So, a lot of those musical, super important, the most important lessons that we get, some of those lessons might come from a book, but some of them may come from people around you that know less about music because they groove so hard.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's
and
happened
if you're in a band with cats that are older and you're not grooving, someone's gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of like for me, I've learned some of the most important things kind of in that context, like you're saying, like from guys that, were quote unquote didn't know what they were doing, but they did. They knew, like they're speaking that language.
It's a different level.
Yeah.
And there are cats that live in both worlds, and those are the ones that are a lot of the best cats there are.
I see what you're saying.
That have the soul, the groove, that kind of push forward that you need on stage.
I got you.
As well as intellectually, studying music and stuff like that.
Okay, so when did you really get in? I mean, because at that point, jazz was already there. Obviously, were you already listening to it?
I wasn't tuned into it very much.
Interesting.
Why
do you think that was?
But I went to see Joe Murillo. Well, I was still kind of a rock player, living in my old paradigm.
I got you.
And possibly way overdue breaking out of that paradigm and moving forward with something else.
Right.
And it was very fortuitous that I met Mark Lessman.
Okay.
Because we'd play Corcovado and Meditation and One Note Samba and all of those tunes that I would recognize,
of course,
from listening to them when I was a kid, and having I knew what they sounded like, and I'm trying to read the chords and so you're gradually picking up more and more and more difference between these type chords and what's underlying them scalar wise. And then, but he was introducing me to new tunes. I mean, there was a point where I'd never heard blue bossa.
Right, of course.
But then also Charlie Parker.
Right.
And when I was living in Del Mar, another thing that was very fortuitous is that Peter Sprague lived next door.
Of course. Oh my! He lived next door to you?
Next door. and so there were these 3 rock musicians living in this one house, and there was this little shack that Peter lived in, which was right next door, both owned by the same landlord. Oh. And then there was a 1-room shack that was behind that house.
Okay.
And
wow.
Peter had a band. Peter was probably about 20, 21 years old at the time. I think they had made a record, or they call their band Minor Blues, the Minor Jazz Quintet or something like that. Minor having the double meaning of like a chord symbol, but also they're all underage.
Yeah.
And this was like John Lefowitz, who went on to play with Chet Baker and cats like that. And a lot of people remember, but anyway, Kevin Latow.
Okay, oh wow.
And Kelly Jacoy was a drummer.
Wow.
And Trip Sprague would play flute or saxophone.
Of course,
And they were all reading. And you didn't have to tell me that. I could I would eavesdrop on their rehearsals from where I'd sit in my backyard and hear them rehearsing. And they would rehearse these endings that were so complex. Like an ending, you think it ends. Oh, and then there's one more tag. Oh, and then there's one more tag.
Right. Keeps going.
You had to be able to read music because you couldn't memorize all of that stuff.
I see.
And so it dawned on me how important that was. And I had made a comment to Mark Lessman also that I'd really like to learn how to do arranging. And months later, Mark says, "Hey, well, Hal Crook is going to come to San Diego and start a school here, and you might want to check into that." Which I did.
Wow.
And even though I didn't have the money, and I should have been a lot more committed, because looking back on it, that was the closest to my backyard I had time to spend with somebody that was really special.
Of course.
And he could communicate things in music very, very well and simply so that you understood them. Chord tones,
all the stuff.
All the tensions and all of this stuff. And I only studied with him for a brief period of time, and I learned more in that 6 months or so than anywhere else.
Wow.
And even though I can't sit down and play a song on a piano, I know where stuff is now.
Yeah.
And what key it's in doesn't matter. And
I see.
So I would just sit around and noodle and oh, that sounded cool. Oh, that sounded cool. I better write this down, And I've been doing that for, really since the 80s.
Yeah.
So as time, you learn more and more and more. And,
Wow.
I think it's at that time, Gunnar Biggs was one of the staff bass teachers. And I remember going to one of his lessons.
Okay, cool.
And he spoke the same language that Hal did. Like they would all say, when you're soloing, or they would not even say soloing, for writing chords, doing soloing, or writing a bass line. If you can make your note go over the bore line to the next chord by a half step, up or down, that's going to give you a hip sound.
I see.
So you can't always do that, but whenever it's possible. So if you're writing an arrangement, do that.
I see.
And if you're playing a solo, do that. If you're walking the bass, do that. So it started to become like an overall rule.
Yeah. Interesting.
And
so you start getting that language. You start really starting to see how and you hear it already. It's like, Interesting. Wow, that's wild that you lived right next to those guys. Like you just kind of,
that was really special, and I didn't realize how. I mean, it's real easy to look back at my life or anybody's life and say, man, I was not mature enough at the time to appreciate what a good and how important that connection was.
Right.
I should have sat there and eavesdropped on their rehearsals even more. Yeah.
When's the last time you talked to Peter?
I don't know.
Oh man, we got to link you guys up.
10 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe 5 years. Like I run into him every
once in a while.
Every once in a while, or like, So
wow.
So we know each other,
of course,
but we haven't played gigs together. I've done a couple of gigs with his brother,
with Trip,
with Trip, and Trip was really something else, because Peter Sprague moved out of that house. And then I moved out of the house that I was in that lived next door, and the landlord let me move into Peter's old house.
Okay.
So to whatever extent, and I don't really necessarily believe this stuff, I don't disbelieve it. Wow, I'm in the house of somebody that was in a high place spiritually and musically.
I think that matters.
So
yeah.
I felt that vibe.
Yeah.
I want to say, no, I don't go for that stuff. But, you still think of it.
You're telling me if you lived in Hendrix's old house, you would, come on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You absorb that.
Yeah,
you just
I love
get a
it.
feeling for it.
Yeah.
And like I was playing in bands, and we rehearsed in that house all the time. So it was doing the same thing that it was doing.
No, you got the juju. Yeah, you got to get it.
Trip Sprague lived in this one-room shack out in the back.
Okay.
And I would still playing with kind of rhythm and blues and rock musicians.
Okay.
I would wake up and get in my car and go up to breakfast someplace in Solana Beach, and Trip would be practicing horn.
Okay.
Like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And gliding those notes together.
Right.
And he has this amazing ability to just be right in the right spot somehow.
Yeah, he's great.
He's amazing,
Yeah.
I think. And then I'd come back from breakfast, they'd be practicing piano. And then I'd go to do my gig teaching guitar lessons, and I'd come back, and now he's practicing drums.
Oh.
So the guy was playing
constantly.
what appeared to be many hours
All day,
during the day. I don't want to say all day, but he might have practiced all day.
I get you.
And he was switching instruments back and forth. And so that was, I was going, these guys are younger than me, and they're more serious,
more disciplined,
they're more
maybe
focused, and they're always smiling and happy. It's not like they're being whipped into practicing.
Right.
They were like highly motivated, but super cool. So I figured, hey, a lot of times we judge things, we try to fit them into our own little way of thinking. Yeah. And the way I made sense of it is that they must have had some really great parenting, as far as motivated people that caused them to be motivated.
I see.
And probably very, very good at whatever they did.
Right.
I never really met any of their parents,
Wow.
But
that's so cool. So you start getting into, how did you get into jazz stuff more so? Because I feel like now you arrange all that stuff, you play all those tunes, like you're obviously hip to that stuff. So it's like,
yeah, I've never really developed my jazz ability to solo, like a lot of the cats have done that. But as far as working with the chords and understanding, I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, all
and
that
as far
stuff.
as writing it down,
you're
I'm just
doing
not
it.
writing. It's guided by, the harmony that lays itself out, whether it's diatonic or not diatonic.
Right.
And also, I've spent a fair amount of time with Lynn Willard.
Of course.
Whether I was taking lessons with him or just talking
That's who
about
I
music.
gotta talk to. Like, there's so many guys I gotta talk to.
And then he is really very serious about understanding, and he's the one that hit me to the Barry Harris method of harmony.
Yeah,
six diminished.
Yeah, of course.
And he hit me to that 20 years ago. And if I would have practiced that it's one of those things. I understood it when he explained it,
right? But after,
not really. I mean, I did. Like, you can understand it intellectually, but to really it's not inside of you. Yeah. So, and it's not very hard. You just got to sit down at the piano or the guitar and play it every day for a few months, and then that stuff will be inside of you.
You can.
So that didn't happen until, years and years later.
Okay, interesting.
But I can use that in my harmony, and he also has given me a lot of ideas in how to work with diminished, the different triads, major and minor triads that are in diminished, and how to work with them. And when I hear it demonstrated on a jazz guy doing a TikTok video, it sounds glorious. When I try to do it on guitar, I go, it doesn't work. Because maybe there's something about the sonority of a piano that makes everything fit together.
I see what you're saying.
I don't know. It's like when that's it. I said it.
I find it. I just made a video of the whole Barry Harris thing. I've been going back down that rabbit hole some more because I find it fascinating, like how we kind of explain these things, because it's like everyone explains it and hears it differently, and it's interesting how people make sense of things and how they. Especially when they you can tell they know what they're doing. You're like, this guy clearly gets it. He sounds great. What is he thinking? And sometimes I feel like I find that fascinating where it's like, okay, how is Robin thinking when he's doing this stuff? How did you develop your sense of harmony and stuff? Like, how do you make sense of these things? You just from learning from these guys and how they talked, or what is it that you kind of latched onto?
I think the strong milestones in my harmonic theory, was I was still playing rock when I took a group lesson with Howard Roberts, jazz guitar player. Okay. And he was the first one to point out major key harmony. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, da da da. And we'd all heard that, but now having that fall into a category, I never knew that.
You could place it, yeah.
And that opened up so many doors. So now when somebody said 6-2-5-1,
you knew.
And then that was starting. So that helped a lot.
I see.
And then years later, Hal Crook, his orientation, and Mark Lesman kind of said a lot of the same thing. When you're looking at a tune in the real book, like Hal Crook would say, go and underline or bracket together all the 2-5s.
Right.
So even if you have A minor 7, D7, and it doesn't go to G, if it goes somewhere else by surprise, well, that's what it is. It's kind of like setting you up and then, whoa!
You do it.
And it's like you go, that totally makes sense. It's like makes music interesting.
Right.
So one of the first thing Hal made us do was bracket all the 2-5s.
Okay.
So that was an important thing.
Right.
And then later on with diminished harmony, I would hear people do arrangements of ba da 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 ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da, and it would be like, what is all that? What are they doing? Yeah. And a lot of times it seems like it would just be parallel diminished chords.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can that work? Or maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, you're probably right.
Because when I went to Mesa College and I hooked up with Jim Whitsitt, who was in his earlier days was a composer for orchestras.
Oh.
And he grew up on Stravinsky, and that's what was going on when he was young and learning his music. So, I'd learned, he said, well, Robin, I was probably pretty arrogant because I'd studied with Hal. I thought I knew everything.
Right.
Okay. And he says, well, you ought to take this, you ought to take Dr. King's theory class. And I thought, no, I don't need to. It's like, I hear Bach play 1-4-5 chord progressions. But I respected this man. And And I thought he says, sit in on the class, and if you like it, you can join the class. Yeah. Well, I liked Dr. King. He was not very big theorist, but he was still teaching the textbook. Mm-hmm. He was a pianist for some orchestra someplace.
Okay.
And not as big on theory, but he had studied at Juilliard probably in the 30s.
Wow.
And anyway, so I sat in on this class, and the next week we were writing little, what do they call it? Figured bass.
Yeah.
Harmony. They'd give you an exercise. Here's the melody. Here's the bass line. Fill in the rest of the chord for like a 4-part church choral thing, or write a chorale. Mm-hmm. And I would do that, and I would like sneak in some of those sharp 11s and shit like that. And the teacher's eyes would go. They wouldn't put it down. They were going, "Whoa, this is kind of hip."
Yeah, this guy kind of
This is like. This guy's connected to some stuff. He's not keeping it in the 1850s.
Right.
And, of course, all of us as jazz musicians would take pride in doing that, writing something using the conventional set of rules.
Right.
But like bringing in this more 20th century harmony.
Yeah.
So, that was really, really great experience.
Wow.
So I learned that, and that has helped my arranging too, because if I'm writing a line, ba-ba-doo-da, and I go, the next horn is going to go, bo-bo-do-ba, and I'm not necessarily hearing it all, I'm messing with the piano. I go, okay, well, both of those went down. I'm going to make the bass line be going
up,
counter against it.
I see.
And so it was the influence of writing figured bass that caused me to do those kinds of things.
Right.
And, or maybe if there are 3 horns, especially with a bass player like Gunnar, he would play the bass. He would become a horn voice for that little phrase.
Okay.
In fact, when I was mostly playing rock, when I would hear guys that played jazz or that could read music, or especially when a lot of different things, like when they'd play funk, like some kind of 70s, like Jazz Crusaders, jazz funk kind of a thing. And the bass wouldn't be on the root. The bass would be doing something else.
Right.
I always thought, whoa, that is cool.
Yeah, that's hip.
God, that's cool. And I would be poking around, not having any idea what I was doing, looking for cool notes. And then when you study with somebody like Hal, or really any jazz teacher, you'd kind of learn that. It seems.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Nobody ever told me to do that, but the combination of taking that classical class and then studying with Hal, or the other way around, actually.
I see.
I don't know. All of that works together.
Yeah,
and it adds
that's cool.
up.
Wow. So Hal lived here?
For a short period of time.
Okay.
The story that I got, and I don't know if it's 100% correct, but he quit his position at Berklee College of Music, came to San Diego, started a music school. It was right down on Vanderveer Street, where that Kaiser Hospital is.
Okay.
San Diego School of Performing Music, I think is what it was called. And I met a lot of the jazz musicians. You can imagine who was going to these classes.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I met a lot of guys that I didn't know before.
What year is this, roughly?
Probably 86 or 85.
Interesting, okay.
Wow.
I didn't know all this. That's cool.
Yeah. And so that probably didn't make enough money.
I see.
To stay solvent.
I see.
And I think, I'm just guessing it was in business for like a year or so, and he had to fold it up.
I got you.
So that's what I have heard. I don't know how much of that is the accurate story.
Interesting.
But
wow. Okay. So
he was.
No, go ahead.
He was really good to me, because there were times I was struggling. I just freshly married, and I was struggling to make enough money, and paying $200 for the next course was, and he says, I'm going to let you do it for $100, and how about if you work it off being a copyist? And I said, well, I don't know if I don't have the skills to do that, And he just let me slide in because of my enthusiasm to do it.
That's cool.
He was really encouraging, and to be able to study with him more, which I suppose you can do. People I still see he's at Berklee, and I still see videos. I think a couple of notable students have gone through his class.
Okay.
Probably several, but I just don't know their names.
Yeah. Wow.
I think that bass player Esmeralda Spalding.
Oh yeah, Esperanza.
Esperanza.
Really?
I think I've seen her
Wow.
in some of the ensembles with him, and I assumed that those were his.
You know, Hal Crook came, if I'm remembering right, I'm pretty sure it was Hal Crook. It was him and like Dave Liebman came, but they came to SDSU as like a guest artist when I was there. And I remember kind of tripping out on those guys because they were just like, the way they kind of like explained stuff was not the same as like the way you know, I mean, it was the same, but it wasn't the same vibe. They were just kind of like, I liked it. It was more my style. Like they were just kind of more gritty about it. And I just really like found it interesting. The way they were playing, the way they talked about stuff, you know, was just different. I don't know. It's just, I find the whole like how people learn, especially jazz stuff. I'm a total nerd for that. So it's like, I find it interesting how they all think, because at the end of the day, it's not like Wayne Shorter and John Coltrane thought the same. Like, and that's the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's that I find that kind of stuff interesting. I'm like, how are you guys making sense of this? And what, you know, what do you call this? And what is this called? And why do you call it that? Or why don't you call it this? Or, you know,
Right.
So like that stuff, yeah, that stuff's interesting to me. It's cool how you kind of were learning that, but like through osmosis and like with these guys directly, which for me, that's kind of how I learned from the, like, for me, what really set me free was learning from all these gospel guys, like playing at the church. So, because, you know, they'll say, "Oh, we don't know what we're doing. We're uneducated," you know, and they would always say, "You're the one that went to school," and I'm like, "Bro, you guys are playing circles around me,"
You know.
like,
I hear you.
you know what I mean? So it's just interesting. All right, so are you playing like full time at this point? You just playing gigs? Like, what was it like back then?
Well, back then, meaning 70s, like early 70s, 73.
Okay.
Is the year I graduated from college, started playing. There was about 3 years of playing with that rock band, and we played, you know, in a lot of different places around town: Poway, El Cajon, Ocean Beach, Pacific Beach,
So you're going everywhere.
East San Diego, and just like all around.
Right.
And one of the things I thought was cool was I noticed that people from Poway would start to come to the El Cajon gig, and people from the OB gig would go to the East San Diego gig.
I see.
And a culture of, or a society, a little group of people would become friends with each other because they see that band.
I see.
And for a band to build up that kind of a reputation and just goodwill out in the public, it might take 2 or 3 years to do that. But when you play a lot of places, that's happening.
Right.
And I was not really cognizant of any kind of marketing or any. I never really thought that way. I always have had this like hippy dippy kind of vibe of like, oh, just play good music and, you know, everything else will be answered, you know.
Interesting.
And so, but anyway, from that, I got in a top 40, or I played in a band that didn't really know how to play jazz, but we liked John McLaughlin and we liked fusion and stuff like that. In fact, we played on
because at that point that was kind of some of the happening stuff.
We thought so,
Especially coming from your rock.
Right.
That was kind of like the next.
Well, it was prettier chords,
Right.
and prettier, more interesting chord changes, and guys that could play really fast, which don't really do it for me so much today. But back at that time, hearing somebody play like John McLaughlin or Al Di Meola,
Of course. Like, I just went and saw Al Di Meola. He was here in El Cajon. I went and saw him with my buddy Ricky. Yeah.
He played somewhere?
He was in. Yeah. He was at. You know, right, the Performing Arts Center right in the middle of El Cajon.
Oh,
it's called the Magnolia now, I guess.
Yeah.
That big building. Anyways, it was there. It's kind of a nice theater, honestly. Yeah, I saw Matheny there too. Recently. Yeah. Oh. But anyways, it's kind of a random spot. Like, these guys are in El Cajon? What?
Yeah.
I thought it was random. I don't know. But wow, so that's cool.
That band was able to get a couple of commercial gigs. One of them was there was a place called the Triton right at College and El Cajon Boulevard. It's not there anymore. And it was a really unique building. It might have been designed by the architect Hubble.
Oh, okay.
It was like being inside of an underwater cave, a grotto of some kind.
Sick.
And we played that, and the owner and his wife, the two owners, man and woman team, said, we're building one on the Coast, which is right across the street from Kai's and the Kraken.
Oh, yeah,
today.
yeah, of course.
And that building's been boarded up for many, many years now.
Oh.
But that was a really happening spot. The music was top 40. And I was kind of like, I had this kind of a asshole ego of like, I'm better than that shit, Is it okay to say that?
Yeah, it's just funny because you're not like that at all right now.
I really acted like, I'm into the funk, I'm into George Duke, I'm into Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking playing Kenny Loggins and like all this. But, one of the concepts of playing top 40 like that was if Stevie Wonder puts out a record, or Joe Walsh puts out a record, or Carlos Santana puts out a record, you learn 3 or 4 songs off that record, and you'll be popular for the next 2 years.
Right.
Because just playing those same songs, so that was what I did for that period of time. That was kind of late 70s.
I get you.
I got asked to play in a band with guys that were a little older and more experienced, and that was playing disco, 70s disco.
Okay.
And the drummer in that band was a fella named Jack Flannery.
Okay.
Jack has gone through his life probably somewhat unknown.
Okay.
Every once in a while you can mention his name and people go, yeah. He had that pocket bass and drum 2 and 4.
Okay.
Boom,
just, yeah.
Or disco. Boom, tack, boom, tack, boom, tack. And like there was this motor. It wasn't just the notes. When you heard him play, you were like going.
It's like the train.
And that guy, he looked like a biker, big guy, long hair, beard, kind of a bear, kind of a personality, He liked me.
Okay.
And but what he said to me, because I was coming out of rock and roll and I was like overdoing it with my stage looks. And I look back at that stuff now and I go, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But anyway, he, that works well off stage, so he said, man, I dig what you're doing, man. And what after playing with somebody for a month, you realize all the stuff they're doing wrong. And he says, he was lovingly as he could say what he needed to say, which was potentially crushing. He says, I'm making you sound good and you're making me sound terrible.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And he said, and he was not a person that could articulate what he really meant, but he wanted me to like hit 1 and 3 with his kick drum.
I see.
So if he's going boom, dak, boom, he wanted me, if I was playing 8th notes on the bass, doom, 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 doom,
right,
doom,
lock
doom,
in,
doom,
I got you.
Easy and one of the most fun things to do. You'll never be bored playing bass again.
Right.
And his drum would be on a riser that was about this tall. So I would stand right in front of his bass drum, and his bass drum, puff of air,
hit you.
Boom,
so you
24-inch
feel it
bass
too.
drum.
Yeah.
I'd feel it on the back of my thighs and go boom, 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 boom,
right,
boom, boom, jinka, boom.
Right.
We'd be playing Fleetwood Mac songs and different soul singer songs and stuff.
Cool.
The name of that band was Cindy and Breeze.
Okay.
Or just Breeze. Cindy Chatfield is still alive today.
Okay.
And I ran into her at a gig. She's still singing. And she says, hey, Robin, she says kind of with a chuckle on her face, do you realize that everybody in that band except us is dead?
Wow.
I don't know if that's 100% true, but I can think her boyfriend died, Ron Dabbs, drummer that I was talking about passed away.
What's his name again?
Jack Flannery.
Okay, I'll have to check him out.
And he was just the king daddy of just like laying down that pocket with the bass and the snare drum.
Wow.
Simple stuff. If he took a drum solo, it was always rhythmic and it would keep the dancers going. It would never be displaced.
Right. He would be going, I guess
he would make his solo interesting, but stay with the dancers.
The groove was still,
And he was, you could say he was an alcoholic or partially alcoholic, or at least under the influence a few hours of the day.
Okay.
But he was one of those people that managed it fairly well as far as driving, going to gigs, doing this. Anyway, so he would show up. This is at the Fog Cutter in Carlsbad.
Okay.
He would show up, and there'd be a little table next to his drum machine. The whole thing's on about a foot tall riser, and he would sit behind his drum, and he's got I think it was called a VO7 vodka and 7-Up in a tall glass, and he would set it down on his little table. He's got one of those window fans that's about this wide and about this big square, and the thing was an old clunker fan. So he would turn the fan on, and it'd go drum, and he'd growl, grrr. And he'd hit that fan on the top, and then the fan would go chung, 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 and another growl and another bang, and then the fans just chung, 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 then he'd take a drink of his VO, and then start the show.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So
that's so cool.
I wish I had some videotape of these things.
I mean, no, you painted a good picture right there, though. That's funny. Wow. Okay, so. And then at what point did you really start like arranging some of these? Like, were you already arranging at this point?
Well, I think.
Or like, when did you start? Like, you're kind of like, because now you do your stuff, and it's like you're known for doing all that through SD. When did all that kind of take place?
I think the beginning of it was those classes with Hal Crook.
Okay.
But that didn't mean I necessarily had a band to go out and play my stuff.
Right.
But he gave us assignments. He assigned a tune. He assigned a dolphin dance to me.
Oh.
So I did dolphin dance, and I think I only arranged it in 2 horns.
Okay.
And everything was written by hand. There was no
there's no
computer
computers,
assistance.
yeah.
And everything was transposed by hand and written out for each individual part. So you got the full breadth of what you did as an arranger and a copyist, and that's just what you do.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way. Yeah,
I was playing in bands that weren't necessarily going to play those kinds of arrangements.
I see.
But I managed to somehow develop my own band, and then. Probably started out blues, typical harmonica, guitar, bass and drums. And I've always tried to throw in a funk tune or a jazz tune. And as that evolved over a period of years, there were some tunes that were more what you'd call jazz funk oriented.
Yeah.
And for those songs, they were written out. I was lucky that the harmonica player, which are usually guys that do not read music. This was a guy that also played tenor saxophone. So he knew what his notes were, and he could read. And between him and Troy Jennings or maybe Johnny View or different people that I'd met in Hal Crook's class that played saxophone, I was starting to get these things. And these are like low-end gigs that didn't pay anything. They'd pay $50 between a 6-piece band. Just you're out there playing just because. And I was so looking back on that, I have to really be thankful to the people that were just there because they wanted to be there, support me, whatever their reasoning. Just be involved in music is what helped my project grow to the point that. As a thing evolves and it gets a little better, when somebody quits, well, maybe you'll replace them with somebody that takes you even a little farther. And by combining that over the years, you may find yourself surrounded by people that are pretty damn good.
I see.
Even though I'm the worst reader in the band, everybody in my band reads well enough because we don't get to have a rehearsal, as a lot of bands don't. We're not the kind of a band that plays... and jams on real book charts. It's more jazz arranged where I've got a book for each musician.
Yeah.
And the only actual jamming is when they take their solos.
I see. Okay. Interesting.
So it's kind of a more of an arrangement. But so it started, I guess it was in the 80s.
And were you playing guitar this whole time?
No, I was
you
playing bass.
You said you were playing bass. Okay.
I was playing bass on most of this
So when
stuff.
did you start really playing guitar?
Well, I started that when I was a kid, but as far as switching over to it professionally, probably about the middle 80s.
Okay.
I got a little fed up with, this guy can't be at the rehearsal. Oh, this guy didn't even show up. Oh, okay. Oh, we're rescheduled for this day. Oh, can we do this? And I'd said, I'm not going to quit playing in bands, but I'm going to put myself in a situation where I can rely on what I do.
I see.
And so I'm in a rare position because I can sing and play blues, play guitar at the same time.
Right.
So,
and you had always been doing that.
Yeah, but it just was never pushing it as a thing.
See. Okay.
So I decided, I'm going to start doing that more and more often.
I got you.
And it's a lot easier to get a decent pay out of a gig when you're one person.
Right.
And then just by whatever good fortune, I was called by one of the bass players. Anyway, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, and
honestly, you're good with remembering all these names.
He said we had played the U.S. Grant Hotel.
Okay.
And it was a duo.
Okay.
And the idea of making $100 a night back in '85
was killing.
5 nights a week.
Ooh, you were killing it.
Was like, whoa.
Yeah, man. You're
stoked. It just like turned my whole world.
Right.
Wow. And that gig
you actually were making money.
Ended after about 6 to 8 weeks. But we did that continuously for 8 weeks.
Wow.
And Dean Davidson was that bass player.
Oh, I've heard that name. Yeah, I've heard that.
And then, and basically it was the kind of thing where I played that rock or the blues guitar thing, and he played string bass.
Okay.
And he was much more of a jazz player than I was.
I see.
And then, about a year later, I got a call from U.S. Grant again and say, we want you to come back.
Cool.
And I went back in with Rick James.
Oh, yeah.
The situation with Rick James is that playing piano and bass.
Okay.
I could do my blues guitar routine, and he would play string bass. He would switch to piano and play standards, and then I would just read them out of the book on the bass.
Okay.
So, and the subs that we had when he couldn't be there were some really good subs. Todd Hunter, Jimmy Casaro, which was one of the more older school jazz guys that just loungy, but
I think I know who that is.
Just the most beautiful chords.
Okay.
I remember he had this blah, 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 that first part of White Christmas.
Yeah.
And the bass was going down, and I was going, oh. Like every chord was like, oh.
I love it.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And I'm just thumping along, and a lot of times, because I was playing jazz on the string bass, but my background and conditioning was rock. So I just stuck to quarter notes. And I was like, dum, boom, 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 dum, 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 dum.
Yeah.
And when I listen back, I go, God, I was a lot better than I thought I was. And the guys that are more hip to like jazz and like the Bill Evans thing or something, the bass would like, ornament and work with the piano on certain phrases. They'd say, "Oh, go ahead and do some of that stuff." And like, I said, I think it's going to be better to just stay in the rhythmic groove.
Yeah.
One time, anyway, so we had some great subs. I had the sub piano player that I like to use one of them was Doug Randall, and he wasn't as big a jazz musician. He was more rhythm and blues and soul, and he would do like songs like Watermelon Man.
Of course.
And he would sing the song.
Yeah.
I don't know if there were actually words for it or if he made up his own words. But he would sing, "Bring me one that's nice and fat and juicy. Bring me one for me and for my Lucy.
Yeah.
Bring me one, And like, so Herbie Hancock is in the bar one night, sitting right in front of us. So Doug goes, ba-da-da-da-da, and we start playing it, and Herbie gets this like looks at us and gets a smile on it. Now we caught him off guard because I don't know if there are lyrics to the song.
I mean, there are. I guess there are. I play that with Bill.
Okay.
With Caballero, and so he always sings. I don't know.
Watermelon Man.
Yeah, but I'm trying to.
That's just it.
That's just
I think
that part.
It. I think I read a thing when Herbie was playing with Mongo Santa Maria.
Yeah.
That he was. That song was inspired by the street vendors that had watermelon.
Of course.
And he would walk down the street, go, watermelon, watermelon.
Right, yeah.
And he, as far as I know, that was the story that I got.
So Herbie's sitting at the bar with you guys.
Well, actually, he came in with Joe Azzarello, piano player.
Yeah, I know this.
Was playing upstairs in the Grand Ballroom.
Okay.
Probably for the event that Herbie was at.
Oh.
And he says, It's called the Variety Club, and what that is a organization of people in the entertainment business that give money to charity.
Okay.
And they're having their meeting or their annual ballroom,
Right.
whatever. And so I presume that Joe was up playing in the band for that event. Because on the break, he came down and say, "Hey, Herbie Hancock is upstairs. Maybe he'll come down to the bar
That's
after it's
crazy.
done." Well, he came down with about 10 people, and I didn't know it, but each one of these people
We're legends.
with either a friend or were somebody that had a really strong performance shtick. One of the guys goes, I didn't know who it was. He says, "Can I see that guitar? Give me that guitar, boy." And he takes it. I give him the guitar, and he starts, and he starts yodeling, this cowboy yodeling stuff. And I was going, whoa. That was loud and strong.
Right.
And with Herbie Hancock sitting there, everybody's going, is he going to play? Is he going to play?
Right, of course.
Is he going to play? And he was, modest, but he got up and played, not with us, but he did dunk, dunk, dun, dun, go, dun, dun. And he must have played it for like 9 or 10 minutes by himself and was inside the piano plucking strings and doing weird stuff.
That's crazy.
So Richard James, the reason we had Doug Randall on piano that night, because Richard James, it was normally his gig, had to go on vacation or something.
Oh,
and when Rick
God,
found out that
missed...
Herbie Hancock was there, when he wasn't on the gig, he's going, "God, I played this gig for 3 years, nothing happens, and I leave for a week." and Herbie
Hancock comes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow.
That was about 1988, I'm guessing.
That's insane.
So that was a good...
And that's at the Grant.
U.S. Grant in that Grant Grill.
Yeah.
There's that big picture of Ulysses S. Grant with his hand in here like Napoleon.
Yeah, I know what that is. I've seen that.
We used to play right underneath that.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, because that hotel's been there for years.
The motel?
The hotel at the Grant, right?
Yeah,
That's like an old,
Yeah.
It's been there for, I've seen the old pictures. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, that was really something. That was like one of those bizarre nights.
What are some other stories like that you can think of that like I would have never known?
God.
And it doesn't even have to be like jazz dudes. Like what about like some old school blues guys? Like how did you ever like, I mean, cause I feel like, especially like the style that you play, it's like, it just is reminiscent of all those old school, like for me, that's what I hear. I hear like, the guys that made Hendrix, that, that's what I hear. But it's like, what was there like a big scene for that, like the blues?
I don't know if there was a scene. I guess it was just the people listening to it.
Right,
Okay. Right when I got out of that top 40 band in the late 70s, Johnny Almond was the British saxophonist that played with John Mayall back in the 60s. He had a band called Blues Breakers.
Okay.
And Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck had all come in and out of that band at various times, from what I understand.
I see.
Anyway, Johnny Almond from London, they had an album where they played acoustic guitar, nylon string guitar, and whatever. It was kind of an acoustic concert with John Mayall. I remember listening to this album over and over and over again in college. Can't remember what it was called. And one day, Mark Lessman said to me, "Hey, Robin, Johnny Almond moved to Escondido, and he wants to start a 2-saxophone band. So it's going to be me and him." And I was already playing with that same piano player I mentioned, who was Doug Randall, that played for Herbie, and a drummer friend of his. These two guys used to travel around the western part of the United States in a school bus, and they had all the seats gutted out of the school bus, and they'd have the piano set up in there, a drum set, and then all their clothes and their bunks where they would sleep.
Wow, cool.
And you'd go into the bus like 2 months later, and it's all changed around. Now the piano's at the back door of the bus, and now the place of the sleeping is near the front door with the little accordion door and shit. It was a full-size bus,
Wow.
And the police said, "You got to paint it some kind of a way so that it's clearly not a school bus. Like you can even leave the thing yellow, but you got to do something to remove any markings that it might be a school bus.
Okay.
That was part of what was legal for repossessed or whatever.
Whatever
when
it was.
somebody starts using a bus.
I got
So anyway,
you.
I think they painted the roof white or something. But those two guys, Johnny Allman and Mark Lessman. Johnny Allman was understandably a very, very strong sax musician.
Okay.
When he hit a note, boom, it was like, whoa. He had you. It was like there.
Yeah.
Same with that drummer, Jack Flannery.
Right. When he plays, just got,
I'm feeling these senses from these musicians that are older and have been playing longer, and it imprints on you.
No, I get you.
And you say, okay, well, if I'm ever sitting around going, well, what should I practice? Practice that. Practice sounding good.
Mm-hmm.
Practice, like what do you put behind your note when you play it?
Right.
And it might be different for what kind of music you're playing,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Johnny was very, very cool. We used to play in. Everybody in that band lived in Escondido except for me. I lived in Del Mar.
Okay.
And so about half our gigs were on the coast, along Highway 101 in Encinitas or Solana Beach, and then the rest of the guys lived in Escondido. During that time, probably because we had a decent band, and it was a fun band. People liked them. The charisma off a stage was really good.
Okay, so you guys just had chemistry. Yeah.
We just had a good chemistry. And,
okay.
Generally, me on bass, electric bass, and the drummer and the keyboard player had one of those old Yamaha mobile pianos, which you could fold it up and take it with you,
Okay.
I mean, still a big thing. But,
Yeah.
he would bring that over to my house in Del Mar, and we would rehearse and hang out in the daytime, and it's kind of a party. And knowing that the horn players were not going to show up to a rehearsal, we just work out these old soul songs, and they were songs that when those guys heard them, they knew what to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
So we didn't really need to have a rehearsal.
I see.
And it was the whole nature of the band was fun. So the charisma carried it through.
I got you.
And that was playing at what is now Kai's.
Oh, right on the coast.
Yeah,
I know you're
back
talking
then
about,
it was called the Bella Via. And before that, it might have even been called something else. That place has gone through about 3 or 4 name changes since the early 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, Peter plays there sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was trying to answer the question about something that brought up Johnny Allman. That's why I brought him up. But I don't remember now. I lost my train of thought.
It's all right. No, you're good. No, this is cool, man. It's just it's cool because you're saying like SD history, and I didn't know some of this stuff. It's like really hip, and I know some of these people. Like I know Mark Lessman. I've seen him. I met him. I played with him. Or even when you were talking about Joe Morello, like what's tripped me out is like I remember meeting Joe at Rebecca's. Remember that coffee shop in Southport? Well, he would have his little like it was like when I didn't know anything. Like I was hacking my way through stuff, and like I remember going there, and it was like a jam or something. I ended up there somehow, and Joe was the one. He would be on it, in the corner on his chair, just playing. And we would play Corcovado or something, and he would just kill it. And he would I would ask him questions and stuff, but I didn't really know who he was. And like I do now, looking back, but he was so nice, and like he would just talk about music, and he was there. I would go there a lot, and I just remember meeting him. And then after he passed away, that's when I kind of realized who he was. I didn't really know who he was really.
Yeah.
But then I realized after the fact, this guy's like kind of an OG. Like this is sick.
Yeah.
So it's just
a lot of these guys have had a jazz career, playing in orchestras in Las Vegas for shows and doing stuff that, it was jazz, but it was more like arranged orchestral stuff. But and then jamming and all of those stuff in quartets and stuff too.
Yeah.
And now here's a person that's like 80s, sitting in the chair in the back of the room, just very humbly, just playing along. And it just makes you think, God, I guess, I don't know. You see the contrast between those things. And, it's funny that people can forget. And when people like you or me look at that person and says, wait a minute, like he's done a lot more than I realized.
Yeah. And you can almost sense it too. You can't put your finger on it, but I kind of knew. I just didn't know what it was, but I could kind of feel it. Like, this guy is someone. Maybe I don't know who he is. But I remember just like talking about music with him at the Rebecca's spot. I just remember it was like back then it wasn't even really like a fancy, like now it's all redone and fancy and whatever. But yeah, it's just interesting. And it's like, and another guy like that was Daniel Jackson.
Yeah. I never met or got to know Daniel Jackson.
I mean, I didn't either. Looking back, I wish I would have. I was new. It was like when I was kind of new to jazz, discovering it.
I wish I would have.
And just like, I didn't, but I remember seeing him at some of these, like at the old Croce's. Okay. I would go down there and watch, and like Joshua White was there with Gilbert or whatever. And, Daniel Jackson's there. He would play piano and then he would jump on the horn. And you could just tell, like, who is this guy? And then I finally realized who he was, but it was kind of after the fact. Like, I kind of felt like an idiot just for like, man, I should have really like talked to him. But yeah, it's just interesting because like they're so accessible where it's like, yeah, I mean, he's right there. You just go talk. Like, it's like part of jazz history right there, music history. It's just really cool. Yeah, it's interesting. But that kind of happened with me, with him, and like Joe Morello. I'm trying to think of who else. But it's just it's really cool to like. That's the thing is like SD kind of has that history to it where it's like you don't even realize it, which almost makes it more mystical. You know what I mean? Like at least for me, that's interesting. So how did you start? You know what? Let me grab some more coffee. You want some more coffee?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna get a little reheat. Hell yeah, Robin, this is great.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Like the total like blues vibe that I just love. Like you have like, because when I first started playing guitar, like that's why I play guitar. It's that right there. What you just did. Like, wow. Like I just love that shit. Like this, I don't know what it is, because when I first got into guitar, it was like the whole I think I was first into like I remember listening to like AC/DC and like Zeppelin. And I remember my friend showed me some Hendrix, and I didn't really get it at first. I was like, I mean, it's cool. I didn't really get it. And then I just became obsessed with it. Once I got it, I was like, oh, okay.
How does that translate for you when you say, I got it?
I don't know. I feel like it was almost in the same way. Like when I remember seeing like jazz players. Because for me, it was like, okay, I had to go to college. Like, I felt like I guess people my age, we all felt like, all right, well, I guess we have to go to college. And I was like, well, screw this. I'm just going to study music. Like, and it was almost like I got you. Like, oh, all right, if I got to do this, well, I'm going to do it my way. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go. And I was obsessed with guitar already. I didn't really know anything, but I knew I wanted to know. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go study music. And it's like, well, when you get there, it's like, well, you have to play jazz or classical. And I was like, I don't know jack about either of them. And then I remember auditioning, and and I didn't know what I didn't even have a nylon string guitar.
Was that here in San Diego?
At San Diego State. Yeah. Okay. I didn't even have a nylon string guitar. Like, so I'm over here like I was taking like private lessons with some guy in El Cajon, Mike O'Brien back in the day, and like. He was cool. He was like a classical dude. So he was showing me kind of some basic stuff. But like he kind of prepared me with some, I don't even remember what piece I played. Some classical piece. But I knew I didn't know anything. And then I auditioned for the jazz department too. And I think I played like all blues and like Autumn Leaves or something. I can't remember. But I didn't know anything. And so like I'm trying to play and like take a solo. And I just sound like probably like ass. Like, so... I got accepted to the classical department, but I got rejected from the jazz guys. Oh, really? And I was like, well, screw this. I'm going to do the jazz thing. Like, what? Obviously, there's something. Because I
Something
knew
going
I
on
didn't.
here.
I knew I didn't know anything.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, how did I get accepted here? But like, these guys are like, nah, you don't know. You're gonna have to like catch up. And I was like, all right, well, screw it. So I ended up just choosing jazz.
Uh-huh.
So I just like studied on my own with some guy and just
Really?
like, yeah, and like.
So you were still in the classical program, but you were studying
No,
jazz?
I didn't even do the classical program.
Okay.
I literally just pretended like I was a jazz major, and I just took all the same classes.
I see.
And I wasn't a jazz major though. It's like I wasn't accepted yet.
So you can't elect your own major.
No, you have to be accepted into
that
the department,
yeah.
right? Which is good because they're not going to just, they're not going to just let anyone in. It's like you kind of have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, anyways, long story short, I end up getting really into it. But it's funny because I knew when I heard Jimmy and all these blues players play, I knew that it was the same thing as what the jazz guys were doing. I could just tell. I was like, I want to be able to solo, like, I just want to be able to play like that. And then I could tell, like, that's what those jazz guys are doing too. And I remember the first time I saw a real book, I was like, what the hell is this guy reading out of? And he's like, and he's like, how does he know where to play? Like, he's playing all these chords and like, and he's soloing. And it's like, I don't understand. Like, what are they doing? Like, and so I just could tell that it was the same thing in spirit. It's like, when you hear Hendrix just ripping solos, it's like, it's the same thing as when you hear Charlie Parker playing. Yeah, I mean, Parker's playing a little more things, whatever, but the spirit's still there. It's like the same, you know what I mean? So I guess for me, that's kind of what I got into, is just being able to play like that, which I felt like the blues players were doing. And I was right. I mean, the jazz comes directly out of that whole mentality. So it's like, I don't know what it was. I could just tell that that's what it was. So it's like, for me, that's what I found interesting. And looking back, it makes a lot of sense, obviously, because it's like all that stuff came out of that, so, but I don't know. It's just, I still, and then that kind of carried over into, like, after I went to school, I knew I still didn't know anything. Like, it's not like you're going to learn how to play like a pro in 4 years. Like, there's no way, you know what I mean? So I just remember afterwards, just like, okay, well, I got to play, trying to find gigs and stuff. And which was hard because you kind of have the catch-22. It's like, well, how are you supposed to get better if you don't have any gigs? But how do you have gigs if you suck? So it's like, I just ended up finding gigs somehow, making my own thing. And then you slowly get better. But and it was just interesting because, and then I started playing in the church, like with all these gospel guys. And just something about it was the same thing. I could tell that these guys, they didn't know, quote unquote, what they were doing, even though they do. Maybe they don't have the same names for it. But you could tell they knew what they were doing. And if anything, they were playing more things than some of these other guys that were, quote unquote, really educated. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. I like both, really. It's kind of like you were saying earlier. If you can be in both worlds, that's where it's at. And so I just remember finding like that church scene, and then I just really, and they don't read. All they do is play by ear. And my ear sucked back then. So I'm over here trying to hack my way through finding, and then I just slowly but surely started kind of making sense of it. And then I saw how it kind of paralleled with all the jazz stuff I was doing. And then I kind of just applied what I had learned in school and what I was learning by ear, and then it kind of just morphed into the same thing. And then that's now how I kind of hear everything. But I don't know, it was the same mentality of like, I hear Jimmy playing like this, I want to do that. And then I kind of saw it in those other two worlds. So I don't know, it's just interesting. It's like, I find that stuff fascinating too, because especially like the way those guys talk is much different and the same in some ways, that, when you go to school or you talk to the jazz players, you know what I mean? But I just found it interesting how the way they were playing and the way they would hear stuff, they were just so good at it. Like they could just hear anything. And it's like, I knew all the chords and the scales, but I couldn't keep up. It was just like, I'm obviously missing something here. And I just, by playing year after year, and it was just like, I started slowly being able to hear these things. And then like, oh, that's what they're, when they say churchy, they just mean blues. Like, Oh, just play bluesy. Oh,
Okay.
Oh, we're in this key, and they know their keys, they know their major scales, and they talk in numbers like we all, like you said earlier, like 3, 6, 2, 5. Oh, okay. But they would do, like, I remember distinctively this one moment where, like, we're in C, whatever we're playing, and you play the church song, whatever, and at the end, the turnaround 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, right? But they would play this line, which was clearly minor, just C minor, like Jimmy. You know what I mean? But we're in C major, and they're playing C minor melody, and then placing it with 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. And like altering all these chords, like E7, sharp 9, sharp 5, A7, flat 9, and doing all the alterations like the jazz pros would do, but they don't know, like, hey, what chord is that? They wouldn't say, hey, it's E7, with an F and a C in it, and it's like, no, they just bang, it's this one. Okay, and they would say 3, they know the root note, but they would be making it dominant and all these things, and I just slowly started to hear it, and that's really what transformed for me. That's what opened up my world. So it's interesting, like, seeing how everyone takes different approaches. It's just, I don't know, I find that stuff fascinating, especially when you're talking about that music. It's like, well, how do we talk about it, and how, it's kind of what you're saying, like how you started learning from all these guys. It's really interesting.
It's funny. Information comes in from, you're talking about the way different people think about it. The information that you build or the information that I build comes from a variety of sources that don't necessarily think the same way.
Right.
And it's up to us to screen through it.
Yeah.
And maybe we're doing a good thing by finding some solidity in the whole thing, but sometimes that means contextualizing it so that it's all the same thing, where maybe we shouldn't do that. Just let it be what it is over here.
Yeah.
That whole playing major over minor, you spend a lot of time with students saying majors, major, and minors, minors, and they hardly even get that.
Yeah.
So when you say, well, in blues, very often they'll play a minor note against a major chord, but there's a lot of weird little things that happen. Like maybe that note will be bent up to the major third.
Yep.
Maybe it won't be.
Right. Or
it'll be bent part of the way up just to, like, make you grit. And then
it's like that.
Also recognize that when if your bass, if underneath it, there's no third in that.
Right.
That could be major or minor. That's just root, 5th, and 6th.
Now we're talking.
See what I mean? And when you play, I don't know, there's a pattern that, I guess at one point during my time that I was at Mesa College, and I had that kind of a mentor, Jim Whitsitt, and I don't know, somehow I had the observation that, or when Hal Crook said, when you compose something, and you might even apply this to your solo, but especially for writing a song, you want to create a melody that is somehow memorable.
Memorable, yeah.
Like a memorable. And I thought about and like I think about the way that people use the word melodic, and I got kind of deep and maybe critical of what do they mean when they say melodic? What does that really mean?
Right.
And if you want to take the sleaziest bass version, play it in the first 5 notes of the major scale. So if you go ba-bo-do, da-bo-do, da-bo-do-bo-da, that's what the public hears as being melodic. And that major pentatonic, ba-bo-ba-ba-ba, ba-bo-do-ba-da, ba-bo-do-ba-da, and when you realize that a lot of those folk songs are pretty much
in that,
all of that, that 5 notes, major pentatonic. And then you hear Miles or some blues guy come along and they'll play that, but they'll play the 3rd flat.
Yeah.
So you got 1, 5, 6 flat 3rd.
Yeah.
Now
we're talking.
And you realize that you can approach any note from a half step above or below it, and that the world opens up. And then you run into something like Barry Harris, where it says, well, a lot of those notes above and below could actually be a chord. They're not just a leading tone that leads to your 5th or whatever. And it just builds and builds. And,
I love it. That's cool.
So That's what one of the things I try to. It's hard to impart that to a student, until they really, a lot of times, when you teach, you get a lot of. And they might be totally checked out.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious.
but they're going on. Well, and hey, when we're with a teacher, we don't want to look stupid.
Right.
We don't want to impress somebody that we look up to that we're stupid and we're not getting it. And I don't know. It's rough. You can try to dumb it down and connect with the person. That sounds kind of arrogant, but you try to reach them on whatever level they're hearing what you're saying at.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you just don't get it. And every once in a while there's somebody, you start treating everybody like they're like your lowest component. And then you find out that some of those guys are brilliant.
Yeah.
And they're like miles ahead of where I'm sitting there going, well, I'm trying to explain some simple stuff that they've already got. But, another thing about teaching, too, is that, like, there's, so you're talking about a certain thing and you want to expand on it. And as soon as you bring it up, it says, oh, yeah, we already went over that. And it's like, take me to the next, it's like they're always shutting out everything they could learn about that thing. All I did was show you a group of notes.
Yeah.
Can you actually use it? Or,
right.
Yeah. I don't know.
I love it. That's interesting. You know what really changed, for me, like playing at the church stuff is like, when I finally realized that like the whole like mentality of the blues, like you were saying, you put that flat 3 over the major. It sounds major somewhat. It doesn't have the 3 in it, but you got the 6 in there and the 5. And it's like, once I realized, like, to me now, I think of the blues as like, you put 2 things on each other at the same time. It's major and minor. That's the whole thing. Yeah. It's like you're playing in both worlds. Once I started hearing it like that, that's what really helped me. It was like, oh, wow. You're so ingrained to think, oh, it's this or that or this. You have to, this major scale here or whatever. You got to be in this place when you're here. But then I realized, but really the blues is about being in multiple places at once. Like that's kind of what it, to me at least, that's how I kind of perceive it. And once I started thinking of it like that, it's like, oh, that's the genius of it. It's like, wow, yeah, these guys back in the day are playing, and you hear them doing that from the get-go. It's like, yeah, they're just playing, their basic little triad, and then they're throwing, it's all counterintuitive. It's all like theoretically not correct. So I'm playing C major, but I play E flats. I play B flats? Like what?
Yeah, but another aspect of that is a lot of times you don't sit and hold the major third in the chord and then hit that E flat and hold it.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily do that.
I see what you mean.
Probably could.
Yeah.
But, but you're thinking about a melody or you're thinking about interaction in notes. So it's not as, that you're playing both at the same time. But if you do play both at the same time, that's really a dominant 7 sharp 9 chord,
right,
which we could use in a lot of places where it's not being used.
Right.
And yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah. So you do a lot of teaching still then, huh?
No.
Okay.
I've taught since 1969. I've always had somebody coming over to the house for a lesson. But I started teaching more professionally, formalized with a schedule in the early 70s and carried on until I had probably had about 20. I've let it gradually slack. I don't advertise for students like I used to. And so there's a steady group of people calling for lessons. And so I haven't advertised for about for a long time, 10, 20 years. And so the only people that call me are like people that heard about it and so I don't promote it. And then when COVID hit, I was still doing personal lessons. I had actually just charged all my students for a month's worth of lessons. And then the next week, where I still owe them 3 lessons.
Oh, I see.
That's when we went to the lockdown.
Right.
And so I call those people, says, I can give you a refund, or they say, hey, we all thought this was going to be over in like a month or two, right? Mm-hmm. So they said, no, just keep the money on account and I'll sign in later. Hardly any of them did.
I see.
And then I went to video lessons, because they didn't want to go for video lessons. And after they tried it, they realized, even though we're not in the same room together and there's certain disadvantages, there's one advantage: you don't have to get in your car. And like there's one guy coming down to Adams Avenue from Ramona weekly for a lesson. Yeah. And that would be 45 minutes down, 45 minutes up.
Right.
And he didn't sweated a thing about it, But when he first, it's funny how some of those people said, no, I don't want to do video lessons. I want to do them in person. They took their first video lesson and they don't want to go back.
Yeah. I get you.
But I have about 5 students right now.
Cool.
And
great. Yeah. What about, I wanted to talk about, I feel like you're super hip because you're like very good with the technology stuff, especially like maybe you could talk a little bit about your journey with that and how, especially like online, because you kind of did pretty well online for a little bit.
Yeah. There was a person that motivated me during the first couple of months of the.
Yeah.
Well, to begin, when the COVID lockdown happened, I thought to myself, I'm going to turn this into some kind of an advantage. I'm not going to sit and wait for money to come in or get a grant, or I don't know how I'm going to do it,
right?
But that's my intention. Let's see if I can do it. So I was more interested in looking at YouTube and looking at this and putting videos up. And somebody said, go on TikTok, which I'd only heard of, and they say, put up a video once a day for a week, and do not edit that video. Just play, post it.
I get you.
No, don't sit around all day getting the perfect version and getting the right images and stuff. Just put it up there. And I think that's part of what sold it, is it was raw.
I see.
If I drop my pick in the middle of a song, I say, hang on a second.
Right.
No, I'm kidding, but
no,
still,
I get you. Yeah.
But like they hear, and that and other things that had happened earlier had given me the confidence to it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get up there and try to dig in.
Yeah.
And the comments I was getting, and I don't know how old these people are. If they're I assume they were teenagers, because at that time TikTok was dominated by teenage girls trying to dress up and look all hot.
Yeah.
And then also guys that were playing video games.
Right. Right.
And I'm going, is that who's watching this? Right. Could say, Grandpa, I want to be just like you. I started to recognize, words like grandpa in Russian, and right, stuff like that, and I don't know. It was really a charge, but they one of the comments was, "This is real," and that was like a big deal. It's real. This is not AI. This is not videotaped and edited
to where it's
this is not produced. It was almost like, without collecting data, it was getting information that people are tired of seeing stuff that's so produced.
Yeah, the overproduced, overthought out.
Like in the commercial music is out there is of a very high quality, and at the same time it's so produced, but people are going, nah, when they hear it, So I don't know. I worked off of that raw thing, and I wasn't afraid to do something. I remember doing one song that has this is tuned to an open D. So when there's D6, but here if I lower it a half step, it's like a B flat over a D.
Yeah.
So I use that. That's become one of my trademark licks, so to speak.
Okay.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I made this one video, and the song started with those two chords. It's a song I wrote, and there was just enough distortion on there that it was pretty raspy.
Okay.
And who knows, the guitar's a little out of tune once in a while.
Yeah.
But one of the first comments that came in, it says, "Man, that first chord made me want to throw up." So, but that's the joy and the energy of TikTok, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
I get you.
it's-
That's, I mean, man, it's hip. And that just goes to show, though, that you're like very hip, because like you're here right now. We're doing this whole thing. It's like, I don't know. I think it's really cool, man. It's like you're really on it. It's just, and especially like you weren't afraid to like take that. Hey, Robin, why don't you try this? And then you're like, okay, and you like just try it out, and it ends up kind of working.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, when it's delivered to you in a way of like, oh, you should do this, it's kind of like defenses go up.
Right.
When somebody says, hey, just try it on for size and see what you think. It's in your corner.
Right.
You know, nobody's making
No
you
one's
do
making
it.
you do it,
know,
yeah, yeah.
It's like, so I just went with it. And I think one of the keys was that it was raw, but one of the other keys is it's once a day, every day for a week.
Yeah.
Like, I think I knew nothing about algorithms and how what's in the background of these sites that we're using, but they measure amounts of times you're on.
Yeah.
They might measure, they might be AI that see how often you cuss, or if you talk about, you know,
I see what you're
hate
saying.
speech,
I
or
get what you're
taking
saying.
drugs, or
I see what you mean.
saying too many vulgar words. Like you hear a lot of obscenity on TikTok, but it's how it's used. And sometimes the thing that listens can't distinguish.
I see.
You know, so you might get a violation for something that's like totally innocent.
Right.
You know,
Right,
but
right.
Anyway, but the consistency.
Okay.
And the person that asked me to go on TikTok called me about a month later and says, you have 1,000 followers. And she's all excited. And I'm going, so she says, you know what that means? I go, no. She says, well, that means now you can go live. Like you don't just post a video and leave it up there. You can actually go live and interact with them, because that's
real time,
that's their cutoff. If you've got 1,000 followers, you can go live.
You can go live, I see.
And so I started doing that. And over a period of time, people from all over the United States,
Wow,
including countries that I have a hard time pronouncing the name of, Uzbekistan and Kurdistan and you know, Russia, Eastern Europe. Most of it is from Europe, South America, and the United States.
Wow.
Not a whole lot from Asia, nothing from Africa, nothing from the Middle East countries, except Israel. You know. But still remote places.
Wow.
Some people live in these. There's this island in the Indian Ocean or off the east coast of Africa called Reunion Island. And I only know about it because a guy that I studied lived there, was born there.
Wow.
And when a guy, a lot of times on the live stream, I'll say, hey, send me a message. Let me know where you're coming
where
through.
you're from. Okay.
And they might have the flag and it'll say Russia. Wow. Or another one will say Belgium. Another one says Puerto Rico.
Cool.
And a lot from Brazil. There are people in Brazil that dig the blues.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, when I hear somebody from Brazil, I have this stereotype. Oh, I'll play a bossa.
Right.
They don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear that
they want
shit.
to hear blues. It's like, it's so funny.
Yeah.
But that was really, and so one guy goes, Reunion Island. And I'm going, Reunion Island? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I mean, it's off like Madagascar.
Right, just
in the
some
middle of the ocean,
random-
this tiny little speck.
Crazy.
And you wonder why do people live in places like that?
Wow.
So I don't know, that there's the coolest comment I got, and I hope I photograph it so I can preserve it, was somebody was saying their bullets going over our head, your music helps us relax.
Wow.
It was from the Ukrainian army.
Damn. That's
and that
crazy.
was like 3 years ago or so.
Wow.
And so
And you know what the thing is too is that especially it's not like they have blues players over there playing like you're playing. So it's like to them that's a very unique sound that takes them out of where they are.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, but that's cool though. I mean, that's what I'm saying, Robin. You're hip, man. That's cool.
people's context of or idea about what blues is, even in the United States,
Right.
but especially in countries like Eastern Europe that are not as tied in with what's going on here or in Western Europe. And I might be making some very ignorant statements, but just stereotyping people.
I know
a
what you're
little bit.
saying.
But their context, they think of blues as Stevie Ray Vaughan, B.B. King,
Right.
and that's about as far as it goes.
I see.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd,
Okay.
and like, you know, there might be a certain arrogance that the older guys have about like, well, my roots come out of here. I don't copy Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan is like a contemporary.
Of course.
And he's wonderful. I mean, he's one of us that made it big.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know, so, but there's no like praying down to him. And that's what it sounds like sometimes when they're going, oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan, man. Or they want you to play Freebird. I don't know when they say that, I don't know if they're serious or whether they're just ribbing me.
Yeah, I get you.
Because you don't know. I mean, if it's an older guy and he says, Freebird, that's something they would yell out in church maybe.
Right.
But, or on a jazz performance, just to mess with you.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people are serious. They want me to play Tennessee Whiskey. Because they hear that slide guitar, and I think a lot of the people in southern states think Leonard Skinner. Well, I think Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters.
Right.
And they probably would too, because a lot of that music connects.
Yeah.
The guys that are in all of those southern rock bands probably grew up listening to Muddy Waters and Robert Johnson.
I get you.
And those guys. It's I don't know, but it's real interesting.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Wow.
I got a big kick out of learning how to say thank you in Russia and hello. And see, right at the beginning of TikTok, my experience, somebody had taken one of my songs that had a lot of a lot of like 16th note.
Yeah.
And it showed this Russian guy in basically hot pants, showing off these like muscular thighs and just, muscular workout suit.
Okay.
And he's like dancing
Wow.
to this thing and to this song of mine.
Right.
And then there were two girls on a bus, teenage girls, and they were like dancing, and my song was in the background, and I thought, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
Wow. And I don't know, just the idea of reaching across boundaries,
100%.
whereas, culturally, growing up in the United States in the 60s and, like the Soviet Union was like off limits.
Right.
It's like a taboo place.
And then here you have...
And now it's like I'm connecting with people that live there.
Right.
And
they're into it. Wow.
And
and they know you're American.
Absolutely.
And you're playing American music, so it's an interesting, that's an interesting...
And so I think that's one of the other things that kicked it off too, is that I'm not imitating Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm not imitating B.B. King. I'm not doing what they think of as blues.
I see.
I'm doing this kind of backwoods thing.
Interesting. And when did you start playing like these kinds of guitars where you do the open tunings and all that kind of stuff? Because I know you got a bunch.
Yeah. When I was playing rock music, one of the bartenders at Neutral Ground said, let's go to the Bacchanal and see John Hammond Jr. play. John Hammond Jr. is a son, or he's just known as John Hammond. His dad was a producer that tried to bring Robert Johnson to Carnegie Hall. Oh. And that was back probably in the 30s.
Wow.
Anyway, so this is the son, and the son has become one of the most prolific, expansive. He just knows, he's really taken an interest in what we call country blues. Okay. That old style of blues playing. And those guys would play a guitar like this.
I see.
A metal guitar.
Of course.
This is a 1937. It's got a metal body. The only part of it that is wood is the neck. And they just brought these out probably in the 20s when they were trying to make a guitar louder. So it's I dropped my slide. Where is it?
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, I brought you a couple of slides, by the way, also.
Sick.
You can try mine. Anyway, John Hammond was up at the Bacchanal, and that's about 150, maybe 200 seat venue, and right on Claremont Mesa Boulevard at Mercury Street.
Okay.
It's not there anymore, and they had a lot of out of town acts there, and he was up on stage, and there's like 20 or 30 people in this 150 seat venue, and of course we were right in the front row, checking tables, chairs, checking around, and he's like got a harmonica and a collar stand,
Okay.
and he's singing, and when he's playing, his picks are hitting the wood face of his guitar, and he's stomping his foot. And it just like nailed me. And I looked at it and I go, you know, I can do that.
Right.
I can do that.
It resonated with you.
So I went home and I didn't know what tuning to use. I started out in G tuning,
Okay.
which is really the same as playing an A chord on regular guitar.
I see.
But then tuned a whole step down.
Roger. Okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
And then this is D tuning, which is the same as an E chord on a guitar, tuned a whole step down.
Gotcha.
So,
Oh yeah, I hear.
so the major third is on the
Right
third
there.
string. In A tuning, the major third is on
be
the
on the-
second string.
I get you.
And with a foot on the mic stand, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
100%.
And where I make the silly comment like you should never be bored playing the same thing over and over again, because you're in the process. If you really give a shit about your music and yourself, you should be constantly digging into that and finding a sweeter place for that to be, whether it's rushing or dragging or right on it, or find the spot that you need to be on.
Yeah.
See, we were talking about that flat three to
Yeah. Woo! Hey, you're speaking my language, dude. I love
and
it.
it's funny that the music that Hal Crook plays seems like possibly a world apart from this, but he said the three and the flat seven and the three being the component of a dominant seven chord. When you lower that a half a step, it inverts and it becomes the three and flat seven of the four chord
Right.
of that original chord.
Yep.
So that has, so you can get 1 4 5
Yep.
just by doing that.
Yep.
And then he also said that when you lower it a half a step and go from three and flat seven, well, three goes down to flat three, and flat seven goes down to six.
Yeah.
Just holding that, but not changing to the four
Yeah.
chord.
Now we're talking.
And you can hold that as long as you want.
Yeah.
And a lot of the old blues guys, Muddy Waters and stuff, they were doing that. And whether they could explain it or not, that was just one.
Wait, is that me? Oh, that's you.
Oh.
Wait. No, is that me?
No, I don't. Oh, it is.
That is you.
Oh, I'm going to have to put him on message. Yeah. That's is a guy from England, one of my TikTok fans, calling. Because we visit once in a while.
Sick.
So that,
God, yeah.
so I use that when I play this way,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not intellectualizing it when I play it like this. I don't necessarily know where my notes are in this tuning.
Right.
Because when I play like this, I'm not playing in any kind of it's more guided by, well, I got this lick, and I got this lick, and I got this lick. And, you know, what you can do this in standard guitar as well as in this tuning. You know, when you're playing like minor pentatonic licks down on the bottom of the guitar in the key of E, you can hit an adjacent string that's open. So instead of, now I could have, so it's almost like playing a little sloppy starts to become an advantage.
Yep.
And part of where I got the confidence to do that was back before the internet. Eric Lieberman gave me a video cassette or VHS tape, and it had a collection of stuff before you could go on YouTube. It was just this TV program that featured, University of Mississippi, went into the backwoods and recorded some old blues guys. And here's some stuff of B.B. King in a nonchalant interview talking about bending notes because he couldn't figure out how to play slide.
Right.
You know,
I
that's
love
what he
it.
says.
I love it.
And he would even say, I don't know how to play a chord. All I do is...
Yeah.
And that's what he does.
Yeah,
he does play chords, but
I know what you mean.
I get what he means.
Yeah.
And but a lot of these people on this tape, they were like farmers.
So you're making me think. I fell in love with Mississippi John Hurt.
Okay.
And like, I know it's not exactly that style, but it is in the sense that like just the way he plays, and it's like I think he didn't really become famous until much later in life.
Yeah.
So like,
and I don't know how famous he actually became. I mean, he did have records out in the 70s.
Right.
I ran in when I was playing at Hilario's back, I don't know, 80s or so or 90s. Mm-hmm. A guy came up to me because I played a John Hurt song, and he said that he had been instrumental in bringing Mississippi John Hurt to the West Coast to do a performance at a college.
Wow.
And the story told me might have some racial stuff in it if you dig into it a little bit. But he said that he did this song called Candyman.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And from what I understand, Candyman is like a hot dog guy that comes to town and, you know, fancies all the chicks, and it's on sexual level, you know. And so he's got this song and these lyrics, oh, the Candyman, the sweet Candyman is coming to town. And he's, you know, it's, and when he did it for this white audience of college kids, he like mumbled all the lyrics, maybe because he was afraid to sing those lyrics, where in his community that was okay.
I see.
And then in California, see, he's out like, what is California? You know, like,
especially to him. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we, know how to act in different environments?
Right.
But I thought that was kind of cool. Thing about John Hurt is compared to a lot of the Mississippi blues, I was making the point about being, it's not a bad thing to be sloppy.
Yeah.
And that VHS tape gave me that confidence.
I see.
Because a lot of these guys were not professional musicians.
No, they were like farmers.
They weren't
like
wearing their cool clothes and trying to look all hip and stuff.
Right.
They were like
just playing on the porch,
just crusty.
Yeah,
and that was so cool. By contrast, Mississippi John Hurt is a lot cleaner, but he's still given that.
Exactly.
When I was in college, I was too lazy to sit and do this. And one of my friends that could finger pick, or, like this kind of finger picking fairly well, was saying, Robin, you just got to sit down for one afternoon and just do that for a few hours, and then you'll have it.
Right.
And all of those Reverend Gary Davis, Mississippi John Hurt tunes, those songs are more likely to fall in your lap as far as your skill level, but you need that foundation.
Right.
So I was too lazy. I didn't do it. But I think a lot of that came later. That I can't play that John Hurt song that well, but...
Dude, I know this song. Yeah.
There's a lot more harmony in this song than most of those songs.
Yep.
So this thing, I mean, that's not even a note, really.
Right.
I mean, it could be, but it's being muted.
Yep.
So you could play what I'm playing clean, but sometimes when I try to play clean, it's hard to do it. I'd have to make that my thing.
I see.
You know?
Yeah. I love it.
when I was a little kid playing that first, I said my dad played hobo songs. It would be that was called the basic strum. That was the strum that you did for almost every cowboy song, every folk song. There was some variation of. And they told us to use our thumb on the root and then flick down across. And that was the style.
That was the yeah.
A guy like Johnny Cash would come along, who I was never into at that time, or even so much now, but he had a style that was just the same thing as that. From my ear, I think what I hear him doing, in the early days at least, doing that same thing with a pick. He would pluck that root with a pick and then strum down with a pick. So that's just a small nuance. He's doing it all with one pick.
Right. And that's it, yeah.
Whereas this is all with fingers. When I saw John Hammond play and I started imitating his moves and the things he was doing, I decided I'm going to use these.
Okay.
Now these are really, a lot of people don't like them. They don't feel comfortable when you first use them.
Yeah.
They give you more volume.
Yeah.
I think most people, especially if you play something sensitive like classical, last thing in the world you'd want would be these things.
Yeah.
Because when you put your finger on a string and you can really feel it, you know, that tactile sensation is part of what you're doing. And you lose that with this.
Yeah.
But the advantage you get here is just sheer reckless volume.
Yeah. And that sound, it's the metal on metal sound though.
Yeah.
There's something to that, yeah.
So where I was going with that though, so now what I do is really boom.
I see.
When I do that strum down, I'm actually pinching.
Oh, I see.
So it's boom, pinch, boom, pinch, boom, pinch, boom, pinch. And if you're counting along, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and you want to throw a little upbeat in there once in a while. And that's just kind of a random thing. You just do it.
Right.
A lot of it is more the rhythmic than necessarily being able to hear clearly every note.
Yeah.
But, you know, after playing some of that Barry Harris stuff on the piano, and I'm not saying that's what he was doing, but when you're doing a gig that's 3 hours long and there's nobody there, and you're sitting there, you're going, okay, I'm cool. I'm going to work out some stuff, you know? And you start that being aware of what he's doing opens up doors of like putting things in between things. So when you're playing, you can try these things, and like next thing you know, you've got a blues that's got a lot of nice harmony in it. Really just following the bass lines.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I love when you play. I always notice that. It's like, yo, this guy's playing some cool shit. That's nice, man. That's really sick. I love it. That shit speaks to my soul. It's just something about it. The minute you start playing, I'm just like, yeah.
That's cool, man.
Hey, well, Robin, I wish I could talk to you much longer, but how about happy birthday?
Thank you.
And thank you for doing this. Where can people, if anyone watches this, how can they find you online?
The best way to do it is to go to my website, which is Robin with an I, RobinHenkel.com.
Okay, perfect.
And if you Google that, I'm sure you'll find it, even if you spell it wrong.
Okay.
There's a website. and it's almost always updated for about a month into the future.
Okay, so they know where you're at. They can
they can find out where I'm at. There's a little small description of what each gig, whether I'm playing by myself, or with the band, or with a trio, or with a full band
whole
with
section.
the horns.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. Can you do me a favor? Can you play a song to lead us out?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
No.
I would love it. Okay. You play whatever you want. I don't care.
Well, let me just go back to this guy here.
Maybe like one of your tunes would be hip.
Okay.
All right. It's up to you though. Whatever you want. I don't care.
You know, I'm used to doing like. It's funny too. Whenever you do a spot on TV, they say, "Oh, what's the name of the song you're going to play?" And I say,
I don't know.
I'm just tell you what. How long do you want me to go? And I can estimate 2.5 minutes pretty well, and just give me the eye like 10 seconds before that, and I'll end it and make it sound like the whole thing was.
I love it.
You know, and that's what we do. You know, especially when you do solo gigs,
right.
a lot, and you've got the freedom to go any sideways direction you want to, as well as make it as long or short as you want. So
sick.
So I'll play you that song and mix it in with some other stuff.
Whatever you want, man.
That one that the guy said it was the first chord made him throw up.
Okay, yeah, let's do that one. I like that one.
So changing from a swinging triplet feel to a more of a straight 16th feel.
It.
And just doing that within the same song and going back and forth messes with people.
I felt that.
Sometimes I'm walking down the road, I get all messed up, I forget where I'm going. This ain't nothing like anything that I've ever known. When I see her, my trash starts overflowing. Slippery, like a watermelon seed. She sure enough is slippery. She got everything I need. I'd love to just hang on to that. Until Automatic Slim, Razor Toting Jim. Butcher knife toting Annie, fast talking Fanny. Tonight we gonna kick us up a mess at the Union Hall, I guess. We gotta bust out all of the windows. We're gonna break down all the doors. We're gonna pitch wang dang doodle all night long. That chord reminds me of that part in the Brick House where they go chicka cow now, chicka cow. It's just one of those things you're playing and you just happen on it like, whoa, listen to that. We gonna pitch wang dang doodle all night long. All night long. All night long. We gonna pitch wang dang doodle all night long.
Hey, Robin Henkel, everybody. He knows how to handle.
Thank you, Louie. What a treat it is to hang out with you, man.
It's my pleasure, man. Happy birthday.
Next time I'm going to interview you.
Okay. All right, guys, go check him out, robinhenkel.com.
A jive symphonic funk of off-tone melodies and open-tone vibrations. It's life.